So and I'll go into the settings and some of the good best practices, but for now I want to just talk about content, because that's really what you're doing when you're installing WordPress. You want something that you can go in and create content on. There's two types of content. There's posts and pages. I'm going to talk about both of those in depth, but just to give you sort of a brief, a blog post or a news post or just a post in general is a piece of content that flows in and out of your website depending on other pieces of content. It goes in reverse chronological order. So when you put a blog post up on your blog that has pictures of your cat, you post the next day a picture of your dog, the dog would be first in the list, the cat would be moved down, and so on and so on and so forth. Once you get past a certain point, those older blog posts are still on your website, but they are automatically moved into an archive for you. That way people can cycle through the most important content that you have on your website, and if they want to search through the rest of the website for other stuff, they most certainly can. So let's talk about posts first, because posts are sort of the meat and potatoes of a typical blog, and then we'll go more into pages, which expound upon that to be able to run an entire website. So over here on the left-hand side is a button, and if you click this button, it will lower a lot more options for you to play with. You can click on the Add New Post. How many of you guys have used Microsoft Word? You guys should be able to pick up WordPress and adding content in about 5 minutes. So if you log into WordPress and create a new post, this is what you're shown. And this is where all of the content stuff happens that has to do with blog posts. So we're going to call this My Test Posts. This is the title, and that title is what shows up pretty much as the title of the blog post. Over here on the toolbar, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's pretty familiar to you if you've used a word processor. You've got bold, italic, strike through, which strike through actually will put a line through it for you. We've got bulleted list, a numbered list. We've got what's called a block quote, which a block quote is indentions on both sides, which will allow you to quote other people and let people see that that's not you talking, that you're quoting someone else. Left alignment, center alignment, right alignment. If you want to insert a hyperlink, you can. If you click on the chain link button, it'll actually bring up a box that lets you do everything you could want to do with a hyperlink. So I want to link to Google. And it'll also let me tell if I want to open it in the same tab or if I want to open a new window completely, which is nice, or a new tab. Good rule of thumb, if you're linking to somewhere else on your site, open it in the same window. If you are linking off-site, I'm linking to Google, I would link into a new window. And that way, when someone gets done looking at what you link to, they'll close that tab and come right back to your site and keep on going. It's a good way to keep people on your site without getting them to go away because you have other stuff that you want to show them that's not on your site. And also, you can enter a title. So this is Google. Hit insert. There was some nails going on in the background. There we go. Okay. False alarm. So when you hover over this, obviously it'll show you that that's Google. And that's what your users will see when they hover over the link as well. They'll see a tooltip with the title on it, and then they click on that, they'll get straight to Google. And if you want to take out the hyperlink, you can click on the Remove Chain Link button, and it takes it out for you, no matter how long it is.
Hey, Mitch, I got a question real quick.
And I have an answer. What's up?
Can you do header tags with the menu?
You can. It's on the next toolbar. But yeah, absolutely. So we'll go over it in a second, but you can segment your content by headers and subheaders and all that good stuff as well. So yes.
I have a lot of purchased articles. Should I transfer them over as PDFs, RTFs, or text?
So you've purchased articles? You said you've purchased articles to be able to put. I would copy those and paste the text directly in if you have the ability to do so.
Text edit.
Better for search engine optimization, because instead of trying to have a PDF file that they're trying to read, it would have the full article text. Which actually I'm about to talk about, because if you get articles, they can be really long, and WordPress has what's called an excerpt system built in. So that's actually a good segue. 3 ways that it shows content. I'm going to stand up and walk because I don't like sitting down. So you can either show the full blog post no matter what people are looking at. So if they're looking at the front page of your blog, they'll see 10 really, really, really long blog posts. Or if you write really short posts, 10 really short posts. If you're like me and you're long-winded, sometimes you want to just give people a little bit of a teaser of what you're talking about and let them click in to see a longer article. That way all of your content on the front page doesn't overwhelm them. So WordPress has 2 ways to do this. Number 1 is called the More tag, and it's this button right here. Basically, when you have the More tag, so let's say that you have 4 paragraphs, A, B, C, and D. I know it's not very imaginative, but work with it. So you've got paragraph A, which is your leading paragraph, and then I put a More tag in. And then you would have paragraphs B, C, and D, okay? So what would happen is if you've published this article, WordPress would take paragraph A and put it on the front page, and then drop a link underneath it that says read more. Clicking on that link would take you to the inside article page that shows the full article, and would actually jump them down to paragraph B immediately, so they wouldn't have to reread paragraph A. It's a really nice little feature. It's highly underused, but it allows you to keep people moving through the article without having to worry about taking their focus away. It's just a click, and it takes them in, and they just pick right back up where they left off. Down here underneath the post editor is another tag called excerpt. So let's say we have our same 4 paragraphs, A, B, C, and D. But let's say that we have a descriptive paragraph or a thesis statement or a main idea of the article that may not be in the article itself. We would put that in under the excerpt tab. And when people looked at our front page, they would see this excerpt thesis paragraph, and then they would be given a link to click in and read the whole article, which may or may not contain this little bit of information. So it allows you to really customize and really dive into how you want your content to be shown. You can actually show auto-generated excerpts, but WordPress breaks them up in the middle of the word and puts this giant ellipses down there. Wouldn't recommend doing it that way. So if you're going to control it, you might as well do it with either the More tag or the excerpt box. And that's going to give you full control over publishing the content exactly how you want it to be published. I like to point that out and just kind of break it up because they sort of go together. But the More tag, like I said, just drops a link in that says read more. And I'll show you an example in a second. Obviously, if you don't use Firefox, shame on you. No, I'm just kidding. There is a built-in spell checker with this. So if you don't have one of the modern browsers with a dictionary built in, you can still spell check. Also, if you're like me and get distracted really easily, you can actually turn off everything except for the post editor. So that'll let you clear all of the distractions off the page and allow you to focus on writing the content. This theme actually has styling built in to the visual editor, so you can see exactly what your text is going to look like. So even in full screen mode, you notice it only goes out a certain amount. That'll give you a really close idea of what your content's going to look like. Not every theme has this. This is, like I said, the default WordPress theme. It's called 2010. It's gorgeous. It gives a lot of the premium themes a run for their money. So we can go back to this. And then there's a button here called the kitchen sink, which drops down a whole other toolbar full of stuff. This is the advanced editing options. As Scott was saying earlier, there's a way that you can actually break up your content with headings and subheadings. So if you have a really main paragraph idea, you can use it as heading 1. For those of you who are HTML literate, this would drop in an H1 tag. If you wanted an H2, or a heading 3, or all the way down to a heading 6, which I rarely use, but that's okay. It's still there. Typically, WordPress themes are built to where you wouldn't use the H1 tag a lot. Most of the time, that's either the title of your blog post article, or you can, if it's not, then you still can use it as a main thesis statement if you want to really customize it. Most of the time, there's an H1 tag that's the main important idea, and then H2 is your subheadings. H3 would be subheadings, and that would allow you to break up your content even further. There's also stuff in there for if you're posting an address. It will actually allow that to be recognized through Google. Or if you're posting HTML code, it will pre-format that for you to Courier and give, in this case, a nice little box to differentiate it so that people can read it really easily. Or if you want to get rid of the formatting, you can click the eraser button and just clear it all out. Let's put this back to paragraph. Go. Okay. I really don't know why this is in here. I'm sure there's a good use for it. I've never used it. Don't use the underline button. Most of the time, if something's underlined on the internet, what is it?
Link.
And if you try and click on something that's underlined that's not a link, what will you get?
Frustrated.
Frustrated. At least I would. So don't use it. If you want to use APA styling, I believe an appropriate substitute is bold or italic. So that should be fine. I think it's just there, just in case. So you also have full alignment, which will allow you to justify your text on the left and right margin and put word spacing in. The smaller words you use when you do that, the better. If you have long words, the spacing gets long. So just be careful with that. It does allow you to change the text color. So I want this version of my name, for example, to be bold and green. Okay, I just want it to be green then. So it will allow the name to be whatever color you want it to be. If you don't like any of the pre-format colors it gives you, it does give you a full hexadecimal color chooser. So if you have a specific color that your brand uses, it's a really good way to match it up pretty well exactly. It has a palette, and then you can also name colors as well. So there's red, orange, medium slate blue, and lavender if you choose to use those. Okay, I always joke around with people that this is the most important thing I will tell you all night. If you use Microsoft Word to write your blog posts, you must paste it through this button. Microsoft Word uses the same styling method that WordPress does in order to style its content. It uses CSS, which is called Cascading Style Sheets. Remember I told you how form and function or content and design were separated? This is how. Cascading Style Sheets are external files that tell WordPress how to make things look like they do. If you paste in directly from Word, you're bringing in Microsoft Word's style sheets, which are actually formatted inside of the Word document, into the visual editor. It looks like crap. So there's a handy little button here that says Paste from Word. If you paste everything from your Word document into this box, it will keep the formatting, but will strip out the nasty Word stuff. So it will actually cause your WordPress blog to look exactly like it does in the Word document, just in nice, pretty HTML. So
you mean do that rather than like, instead of doing a Control V?
Instead of Control C, copy, and Control V right into here, you would hit Control C, hit this button, and then paste it right into this box. And then just hit Insert. Now, if Grandma sends you a nice email full of really pink, nasty-looking text, and you want to keep the content but strip out the formatting, never fear. There's also a Paste as Plain Text button. It will strip out formatting, it will strip out font styles, it will strip out colors, it will strip out hyperlinks, but it does allow you to keep line breaks. So you can go back in and reformat things as you need to. Those two buttons are probably the ones that if a client comes back and tells me, my website looks horrible, did you write it in Word? Yes. Did you use the Paste from Word button? No.
Mitch, can you show
Yes.
us where those buttons are?
Yes, right down here on the bottom toolbar. If you're looking at WordPress that you just installed, you'll have to click this toolbar first, which will allow you to see the bottom level of advanced options.
Are the toolbars the same as in Word and
Yes. Well, the toolbars in .com have a few different buttons on them. And if you're running any plugins, those may have extra buttons here as well, but for the most part, they're pretty similar. Okay, if something happens and you do get a lot of formatting that you want to remove, the eraser here will take out any formatting that you have, and will, as you can see, it took out the color on the bottom. So it'll get you back to square one, basically.